Hello and welcome. My name is Martina Brandes and today I tell you something about emotions, which is not the usual knowledge. But please don't believe a word I'm saying. Check for yourself in your everyday life if it's true what I'm telling you. Now, you would like to learn a thing or two about emotions. That's good because we all seem to have lots of emotions. There are lists on the internet with about 70 emotions. And when I read them, I thought these are all no emotions. Also, people often say, I feel it is going to rain tomorrow. Or I feel pretty. These are no emotions or feelings. We confound thoughts with feelings, with emotions, because I feel pretty is a thought. And we have a lot of thoughts, and so we think we also have a lot of emotions. Actually, we have the possibility to experience 4 emotions. These are anger, grief, fear, and joy. That's it. We can, of course, combine them, and then we get jealousy, for example. You just mix anger and fear. Or you mix anger and joy, and you get malicious joy. If you feel stressed, then you feel the little brother of fear. This is stress, the fear of not making it. Therefore, you can reduce all your emotions to those 4. And do you realize the ratio? We have 3 to 1 negative emotions. Now, this is an important information, especially for all women who love to have lots of emotions. Be sure, there are 3 to 1 negative. Of course, they're not negative as such. We call them negative because they don't feel as good as joy, but they have a function. And this function is not a negative thing, but that's for later. You cannot only combine them, you can also intensify them. Anger becomes rage, rage becomes hate, and may end in violence in order to destroy. Fear becomes panic, grief becomes depression, and joy becomes excitement, becomes ecstasy. Now, maybe you are one of those people who are overwhelmed by your emotions. They come up and are just there and are so strong. Maybe you think emotions are important because without them you won't feel alive, or they must be considered by others. Or maybe you think you need to let that anger out in order to get rid of it. Maybe you say things like, my boss annoyed me, or my sister makes me sad, my father makes me angry, and so on. Then listen carefully. I have some news for you. How do emotions arise? I tell you a little story. Imagine 3 people. Max, Ben and Jim watching TV. Then from the TV someone shouts goal. The 3 are watching soccer. Max jumps up and shouts goal, 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 and he's full of excitement. Ben angrily throws his bags of chips away and shouts, they're all idiots. Jim goes into the kitchen and gets another beer. He asks himself, what am I doing here? Now, if the goal could make them have emotions, Max, Ben and Jim would need to have the same emotion. They don't. Why? What's the difference between them? The difference is their thoughts, their assessment or judgment. Max thinks positively about the goal, Ben negatively, and Jim does not judge it at all. It is their valuing or devaluing thoughts that produce their different emotions. Our emotions follow our positive or negative thoughts. This is also neurophysiologically proven, and we also have a certainty of action. Emotions follow thoughts. This is the good and the bad news, because it follows that nobody can make you angry, sad, or happy. You do this on your own, with your judgments. Another example? Okay, let's say someone calls you a squirrel. You are a squirrel. Do you feel angry? No? Are you sure? Why not? Because you think a squirrel is quite cute. When someone calls you a bird, so you are a bird, do you feel angry? No? Are you sure? Why not? Because you think bird is somehow, it's neutral. What about someone calling you a bitch? Do you feel angry? No? If not, do you think, oh, he's quite right, he knows me well? Of course, then you're not angry. But what if you just reacted a little bit angry, being called a bitch? It is because you think you are not a bitch and you judge this word negatively. And who then judges the word bitch negatively? And the person calling you so. That's you. And then, with this judgment, you create the emotion anger in your brain. Nobody can make you happy or unhappy, and you cannot make people happy or unhappy. It's not possible. You just do not have this power over other people, and they don't have this power over you. Isn't that a relief? Or do you think, when you now think, oh man, then for you, a manipulative strategy falls away. Because we tend to manipulate others with our emotions. We even try to manipulate God or the universe or the traffic jam with our emotions. Have you ever succeeded in clearing up a traffic jam with your anger? That does not work with traffic jams, God or the universe, because they are completely indifferent to your emotions. Your husband or your children may not. And we call this emotional blackmailing. It works like this. You did something that I don't like. Now I get angry and I think you made me angry. And because I don't like being angry, I say or do something what I know you don't like so that you feel sad or angry or fearful. And because you don't want to have these emotions, you better do what I want. It works. Maybe you get what you want, but do you also get a happily family life? Good relations with your loved ones or colleagues? I bet not. Ask yourself now, do you want to live in a way that you say, I'm unhappy and it's your fault? Then you're like an emotional puppet on a string. You give others a power over your emotions that they don't have. Because you create your emotions yourself. Your happiness and your sadness, anger and fear. And of course, all the combinations. Maybe you experienced things in your life you absolutely didn't like. Maybe you lost loved ones. You're grieving now for quite a long time. You know, grieving for a certain period of time is absolutely normal and healthy. But some people grieve for years. The thought most often behind this is, my loved one shouldn't have gone. They shouldn't have left me here alone, maybe after all those years. This is more an angry accusation. And because you know that anger does not work here as a manipulative strategy for bringing them back into life, you also become sad, which is another strategy. God should not leave me here in this terrible state of grief. But God or the universe are not manipulable. You can stop that. Additionally, would your loved ones want that you don't stop grieving because of them? Wouldn't they want a life of joy for you? So stop using your emotions as manipulative strategies in any situation. We misuse our emotions for this because we think that's their purpose. And also we think this is the only way to get what we want when we are angry, sad, or fearful. Now, what exactly is the purpose of emotions? They are indicators, not more and not less. We judge circumstances, people, or things in milliseconds. We don't even get it when we are judging. But what we sense are our emotions because they follow. And if we sense our emotions, we could ask ourselves, how did I just think about that other person or the circumstances? If you had a so-called negative feeling, you thought negatively. Why? What exactly is it that you don't like? And find that out and then communicate it clearly without the emotion. Then there is a chance that you get what you want more easily, without communicating emotionally. Try that for a week and be awake about your emotions and find the previous thoughts and then communicate what you liked or didn't like without that emotion. And be prepared that you get what you want more easily. For example, when you have to make a phone call and you're a little bit afraid, and it's not very nice to do this phone call for you, then tell yourself, I do this call without emotions, and then do the call. It's possible to phone someone you don't like without emotions. The call will be much easier than you think. And based on Albert Ellis' rational emotive therapy, in short RET, behind each emotion there is an irrational belief. And the irrational belief behind, for example, anger is the other person should change their behavior. If all people were like me, the world would be a better place. The irrational belief behind grief is all my needs should be met. The other person is not allowed to say no to my needs. If he does, he is an... The irrational belief behind fear is when I'm fearful enough, then nothing should happen to me or my loved ones. I already paid in form of emotional energy, and then you, God or the universe, have to deliver. I already paid. Now you can ask yourself, does my irrational belief work for getting what I want? If not, stop it. It is far easier to communicate with other people without emotions and accusations, and it is much more likely that you get what you want more easily. Of course, there never is a guarantee. Everybody is allowed to say no. And in case you have a lot of hormones, adrenaline and so on in your body, then you can get rid of those substances in your blood. The anger energy sits in your neck and in your shoulders. This is why people knock others down. The energy goes through their arms. So get rid of your anger through your arms. Especially for women, do vacuum cleaning. Or you play tennis or table tennis or whatever. Do something with your arms. Many angry women have very clean homes. If you have fears, then run. The energy of fears sits in your legs. This is why you either run away or you're paralyzed when you're very afraid. Running or cycling, especially in the evenings, works the energy off in your legs. Grief sits in your whole body. So do sports, whatever you like. Sports produces endorphins, and grief cannot stand endorphins. And now, what about the fourth emotion? Joy. Have as much as possible. And thank you for watching this video.